When the world turned gray, when cities lost their color and streets echoed with a lonely silence, a street artist named Juno walked the empty roads. Her only companions were a box of worn-out crayons and the ghosts of laughter that once filled the air. The buildings stood like stone giants, their windows like vacant eyes, and the sky was a permanent, unforgiving shade of slate. But where others saw despair, Juno saw a canvas. Everywhere she went, she drew. On a cracked and forgotten wall, she drew a brilliant, golden sun, its rays stretching out like a warm embrace. Across the tired arches of an old bridge, she painted a flowing blue river, so vivid you could almost hear it rush. Where windows had been shattered, she left behind bright red hearts, beating with a defiant pulse of life. At first, people just stared. They watched from a distance, their faces clouded with the same grayness that covered the world. Her splashes of yellow and blue were alien, strange, but slowly a warmth began to spread, a flicker of something long lost in their chests. One day, a weary passerby stopped, his voice rough from disuse. "Why?" he asked, gesturing to the vibrant sun on the wall. "Why paint when no one cares? It's all gone." Juno paused, a smudge of yellow on her cheek. She looked not at the man, but at the sun she had drawn, and smiled a gentle, knowing smile. "Because color remembers what we forget," she replied softly. "It remembers that life is still here, waiting. It remembers warmth and joy, even when we can't." The man didn't say another word. A few mornings later, as the gray dawn broke, Juno found a small child sitting alone on a park bench. The child was staring up at the blank, colorless sky. Their shoulders slumped, a tiny figure lost in the vast, empty city. Juno approached quietly and sat beside them, not saying a word at first. Then she opened her worn-out box and pulled out a single, bright yellow crayon. It was her favorite, the color of pure sunlight. She held it out to the child. "Draw something," she whispered, her voice like a soft breeze. It had been so long since they had held a color, so long since they had imagined anything but gray. But something in Juno's gaze gave them courage. With a trembling hand, the child took the crayon. They turned to the large, empty wall behind the bench, and, after a moment, drew a small, simple sun. It wasn't perfect, but it was radiant. It was a start. Juno smiled, and for the first time in a long time, the child smiled back. The next day, something incredible happened. When Juno passed by that same wall, she saw that someone else had been there. Next to the child's small sun, a fluffy white cloud had been drawn, as if to keep it company. The day after, a bluebird appeared, its wings outstretched in flight. A week later, the wall was barely recognizable. It was no longer a symbol of decay, but a canvas of shared hope. Someone had drawn towering green mountains in the distance. Another had added a field of vibrant wildflowers, poppies, daisies, and lavenders sprouting from the concrete. The wall came alive, transforming into a magnificent mural, a testament to a community remembering how to dream. Each drawing was a different hand, a different heart, but together they told a single story of rebirth. Months passed. The gray began to recede, not just from the walls, but from the world itself. The change was slow, then all at once. Color returned to the city. Laughter, real and joyful, began to fill the streets again. People emerged from their homes, not with suspicion, but with smiles. They started carrying crayons in their pockets, adding their own small pieces of art to the city's burgeoning masterpiece. Parks bloomed with real flowers, and the sky itself seemed to blush with shades of pink and orange at sunrise. One day, Juno was gone. No one saw her leave. She simply vanished, her work complete. She left behind her box of crayons on the bench where she had met the child, now filled with colorful new stubs left by others. No one knew where she went, but her spirit remained. It lived in the murals that decorated every corner of the city. It lived in the pockets of the people who now carried colors with them. And every sunrise after that, as the sky ignited in a spectacular display of gold and crimson, it felt a little brighter, a little warmer. It was as if, somewhere, just over the horizon, Juno was still drawing, painting the dawn with her own two hands. Thank you so much for joining me for this story. If it brought a little color to your day, please consider liking the video and subscribing for more tales of hope and wonder. Until next time, keep looking for the color in your world.